worked on was actually implementing a new steering behavior, which is called path follow. All right, and basically this is the behavior that allows the characters to follow a particular path. Basically, it predicts a position, and then it determines where it should go depending on the particular path that it is outlined. All right. So before I go into how this whole thing works, let me bring up Blender. This Blender here. All right. So here I have my two characters. Okay, this character, which is the one that will be doing the whole path follow, and this character, which will be just standing there. He would not do anything there. All right. So what I do here is I actually created a path, right? And basically this path is right on top of the black path that I did, just so for visualization. But basically the character will be following the segments that you see here. It will follow these whole segments all around, and he will go around the whole thing, coming, do the whole circle on and on. And the character itself doesn't follow the path, precisely. You don't want to do that. You want him to be able to move around, and that is the whole reason of why you have a path with a particular width, right? For example, the width of this path is like around about 0.5. This is the center line that he needs to focus on, but then you also want to give the character like some kind of a leeway so he can move around within that path. You don't, so he can actually, so that the whole movement is not too robotics, but he will be able to just wander around within that path, and that's what you do here. And before I explain to you how that works, let me show you how he moves. So let me turn on my this and I'm going to run it. All right. So it built successfully. All right, so now let me change to my Mac so you can actually see it. It should be coming up in a few seconds. All right, there it is. Right, so now I'm just going to tell the characters to start following the path. And as you can see, he wanders around within the width of the road, of the path. He just goes around the whole path, and following the particular segments. Right now he actually turned back, and I will show you why he turned back. There's a reason why. He shouldn't have done that, but I do know why he did that. So now the character will be able to move all around the whole path and going in circles. Obviously, you can come up with your own path and do whatever path you want to do. So let me stop it, and let me explain to you how it works. All right. So keep in mind this whole path. All right, these segments that the character is following. All right, because that's going to be important. All right. So to implement the path follow, it actually works like this. Number one, you need to provide a segment, right? Which is this one that I'm highlighting right now. All right. And then you also need to provide a path width, right? And there's a reason why you want to do that. So the first thing that you do is you compute a predicted position for your character. All right. So this is my main character, and I want to predict a position. All right. And how do you predict that? Well, you basically get the current position of your character, and then you add that position to the velocity and then you time it with the current time parameter, and that's going to give you a predicted position, which I show here. So predicted position is actually the current position of the character plus velocity times the time parameter, which you have to state. All right, so that's going to give you this predicted position. All right, now if this point is outside of the path width, then you must do the following. You must compute the closest point to the path. Okay, so you get this point and you must determine, all right, what is the closest point to my path? And in this case would be a point something as it will be how would you say that? Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. It will basically be a segment perpendicular to your path, right? And that segment will give you this point. All right, so this will be your closest point to the path. All right, so once you have that point, you must provide an offset. You provide how many units you want for that offset. So then you provide this offset, which must be along the same direction of the segment, obviously, right? So then this offset will move this position, this point, to a particular location, right? And this will be your target position. Okay, this will be your target position. So basically you will force your character, instead of moving that way, he will start moving some kind of this way, moving towards this particular point, right? And then you get this target position and you send that to the sig behavior, right? And that will basically make the whole motion that for the characters to steer towards this position. And that is how it works. That's the basics of it. All right, so now what happens if your predicted position is actually within your path? Well, you do nothing, right? Here in scenario 2, if my predicted position is within my path width, you basically send this predicted position to the sig behavior and you just let it go. You do this because you want your character to be able to wander around, so that everything looks a lot more smoother and a lot more believable. You don't want your characters to follow this path, to strictly follow that path, because it's not gonna look real. So basically that's how the whole path follow algorithm works.